stand for a justifiable cause? What does it take for a person to snap? How much despair does it take for a mind to finally fracture? These are the twisted questions that Megatron has set out to answer to show a corrupt system that even an ordinary man like himself is only one bad day away from sheer insanity. What's going on, everybody? My name is RBG and welcome to my newly introduced segment, the Transformers IDW G1 Continuity. This is something I've been wanting to cover for a while now, and with the positive reception we've been getting from the Transformers Movie Universe History Show, I figure why not up the ante and further explore the lore? And what better way to do so than to go back to the beginning where things were just taking off in their rawest form. But this won't just be a trading of an old story, it'll be an old story with a new coat of paint. What do I mean by this? I'm talking about going back on an epic conquest exploring the history of the Autobots and Decepticons from the Great Generation 1 era in a universe rebuilt from the ground up. I'm talking about a reboot. This is a good move to make because I sense a thick tension in the TF community and I feel there's room for all of us to learn. This is for the G1 fans who look at the rest of the trans fandom as nothing more than low-life mutts who accept anything Hasbro throws on their plate like the Bay films. And the new generation of fans who just can't seem to see the appeal in what the original series has to offer. I want to unify this community because at the end of the day there's room for all of us and there are plenty of good stories that have yet to be discovered by many. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to be tackling the IDW comics because like a lot of series that have been left destitute out in the cold, they've kindly given the Transformers a new home after they were abandoned by Dreamwave Comics. This new wave of comics has been nothing more than a TF fan's dream because they give us an opportunity to see some of our favorite robots get fully fleshed out backstories and character development. Today, we'll be going back to the very beginning with the 4-issue miniseries titled Megatron Origins. I figured this would be the perfect spot to jump into our newly rebooted G1 universe and further explore the history of the Great Cybertron War. As usual, I'll be reading the issues dramatically back to the viewer, and I'll also supply my voice acting skills to somewhat mimic voice actors who previously voiced some of the popular characters. Our story kicks off in the distant past. Cybertron is a peaceful but somewhat hostile planet where Energon, their most prominent resource, is on a steady decline. This substance was the preferred fuel of the Transformer race and was most commonly used in its liquid state, which is stored in many different mediums, most famously the Energon Cube. Workerbots were usually tasked with digging up the raw fuel, but they can't seem to get the job done fast enough. One of the cardinal rules during pre-war Cybertron is that the Energon must flow at a consistent rate, so the high-ups of Kaon came up with a simple solution: automate the mines in their jurisdiction so they'd be more profitable. Senator Decimus was tasked with automating mining outpost C12. Formalities demanded that he travel to the outpost to notify the miners of their imminent unemployment personally. And to that he did, backed up by a large security force in case things were to go awry. Megatron was relocated to mining outpost C12 and continued to seethe with hate and frustration in his new workplace. His discontent would reach its peak once Decimus arrived with some bad news. Once the senator gets there, he assembles every station worker and says,
"As you know, the hub has been facing challenges, and as always, we seek to streamline in every way that we can. You can rest easy. The Senate thanks each and every one of you for your contribution. Your hard work here is at an end. That's right, for all of you, this will be your last cycle working on orbiting mine C12.
Megatron and his fellow worker associates begin ranting in an uproar, drowning out the senator's speech, so he raises his voice saying,
"I know this has been a home to many of you. The Senate will help you find new homes and new assignments. The Senate takes care of its people."
The miners were pissed at the thought that they were being replaced by second-rate technology. After all, most of the worker bots were constructed cold from the ground. They were made to work. One of the workers decides to take the lead in protest. He yells out,
"There's still fuel in this mine. It's not dry. Y'all at the Senate know that, right?"
Senator Decimus answers saying,
"Oh, that's right. For sure. We've tracked this location and it's absolutely no fault of the mine itself, I assure you."
But the protester wasn't buying it.
"Then it's automation. Moving in your damn installation and sentinels to get the place running cheap, ain't it?" No, I'll assure you such hearsay. Y'all know how this works. Them greedy parasites are automating mine after mine. Y'all know what I'm talking about."
The outspoken miner still wasn't trying to hear it. He knew that the Senate only cared about its own well-being.
"None of you are here because of good times,"
yelled the protester as he clenched his fists.
"There's plenty of fuel to go around, and yet most of us are here damn near running on empty. And now you want to kick us out and shake our paws and have us say thank you?"
As the miner continues venting, Senator Decimus sicks one of his Autobot guard commanders in an attempt to silence and make an example out of him. The miner continues his rant, unaware of a giant guard raising a hammer over his head.
"The Senate will take until they're told to stop, until they're made to stop."
Just as he's about to finish his sentence,
"Y'all all know it's true."
thwack! The back of his head gets bashed in, causing the blue circuits to show.
Get back!
The guard tells the onlooking rioters as they begin dragging their first victim. The wounded worker cries out,
Help!
and the guards continue to wail on him with their energon mallets until they completely dismantle him into a puddle of energon and scrap. The miners become even more enraged at the sight of this unjust brutality. They swarm in closer to the senator and his camp. The guard commander steps out in front, proudly beams his Autobot crest and says,
For your own protection, can't you people see this? Now get back!
Senator Decimus tries to speak to the pissed worker bots.
Workers! Brothers! Now if you'll just stay calm, I'll take us to the terms of the facility redesignation.
Clenching his energon pickaxe, Megatron leers at Decimus with his optics burning brighter than ever. The senator continues to try to remedy the situation. He goes on saying,
I think, given the conditions, you'll find the terms quite generous,
Before he could follow up his rhetorical question, Megatron's fury boils over and he hurls his pickaxe at Decimus, piercing his shoulder.
Ugh!
The senator yells out in shock. The guard commander tries to give out an order,
Deploy the...
but Megatron kicks him in the back of the leg, causing the guard to fall. Megatron looks at the commander with an evil smirk and chuckles. The guard tries to retaliate by shooting him, but the crazed worker slaps the blaster out of his hand and continues to look down on him like a defenseless child. Megatron proceeds to tussle with the guard as he grunts in a blind rage.
No! No!
As the guard skirmishes, Megatron raises his arm, clenches his fist in a double axe handle formation, and smashes the guard's head in, causing the victim's fragments to splatter all over his face. Meanwhile, the secondary guards try to hold back the army of angry miners as their wounded senator lies defenseless with his arm almost detached from his shoulders. As the rioters push forward, they begin shouting things such as, Murder! Take them apart! As the riot continued to erupt around him, Megatron could only sit amongst the chaos, staring at his fuel-stained hands in abject horror.
What did I... No,
He said to himself as his once rage-induced mind started to come back to him. This was the first time he had ever taken a life, and his first Autobot kill. As he sat there in a trance, this gave the Senate soldiers an opportunity to subdue him and the rest of the miners.
Get them now! What are you waiting for? Do it before they kill us!
Yells the Autobot security official as he watches over the badly wounded senator. The guards raided their blasters and let out a fury of shots to incoming rioters. Thanks to the superior firepower, the Autobots are able to knock out all their foes.
That's enough,
Says the guards.
Consider them pacified. What's next?
The other guard asks.
Prison if we're lucky, a breakdown if we're not. All because of him.
They turn their attention towards the dented up body of Megatron.
That one? Is he dead?
Later, because of the violence Megatron and his fellows engaged in, all the surviving miners are arrested en route to Penal Facility H3, also known as The Rig. Among the survivors, he becomes acquainted with two pint-sized twins called Rumble and Frenzy. They worked as industrial equipment at Mining Outpost C12 and were some of the ones who joined in the riot. Frenzy notices Megatron awaken and says,
Online again, huh?
His brother Rumble tries to convince him to help lead a revolt against the corrupt Autobot security force.
Look, big guy, we need your help. We both saw what you're capable of.
Megatron looks at his shackled hands and replies,
That was unintentional. I shouldn't be here.
Whatever,
says Rumble.
Looks like these guys got no respect for industrial equipment.
The two little street thugs begin heckling the guard watching the facility.
Hey, Bozo!
The guard responds,
What do you want, Squirt?
Attention!
replies Rumble as he breaks the cuffs on his hands by transforming his arms into these massive pile drivers. He proceeds to pound the guard into the ground. They attack the remaining guards. Rumble plays the role of a decoy and Frenzy sneaks up behind another guard.
Where are you going, you little runt?
Frenzy mounts up on the guard's shoulder and replies,
Behind you?
and Megatron joins in on the assault. Shortly after freeing all the other apprehended miners, they take control of the shuttle, then escape to Cybertron to hide on the ground in Kaon. Prowl notifies Sentinel Prime of the incident, who plans to locate the fugitives. Upon assuming office, Sentinel Prime operated out of the Security Services headquarters in Kaon, generally regarded as the worst place on Cybertron. By this point, Sentinel had developed great disdain for the government authority, irritated that they kept telling him how to do things instead of giving him what he asked for.
Sentinel Prime, sir. We've just gotten a report of a beta-grade airspace. We've lost contact with a shuttle and another is down. Don't waste my time, Prowl. You know protocol better than anyone, so follow it,
replied Sentinel Prime in frustration. He was pissed because he felt his target practice was rudely interrupted by news he deemed uninteresting.
Normally I wouldn't intrude, sir, but this involves a life-threatening attack on a senator. It's a policy, sir?
Sentinel lets off another blast at a target.
Life-threatening. Fatal.
He asks as he lowers his blaster and battle mask.
All we have at this time is a distress beacon, location, velocity. I've scrambled response.
Just prior, there were reports of a disturbance at an off-planet facility. Sentinel sighs and says,
Fine, then you take it. I don't have the struts to deal with another whining senator.
I'll have a report ASAP, sir, and I'll make sure the Senate is kept up to date.
And out of the way,
says Sentinel as he continues his target practice.
Whatever it is, I'm sure it's nothing compared to down here.
After evading law enforcement, Megatron joined a team of underworld gladiators under the tutelage of Clinch. Initially repulsed by killing his opponents, the games eventually turned him more brutal and excessive. One of the less reputable aspects of Cybertron before the Great War was the fact that gladiatorial combat was one of the most popular sports. Though many of these games were officially illegal, they often thrived, with Transformers battling each other to the death. Knowledge of this circled among the government officials, but they tended to turn a blind eye to the blood sport. As Megatron rose to prominence in the arena, his battles were distributed illegally through video recordings. Megatron's opponent screams in agonizing pain as he's impaled by the champion's gladiator sword.
And you're done,
said Megatron, but his opponent doesn't falter. As the saber protrudes out of his chest cavity, he says,
Think so?
And slams his giant hammer at Megatron, but to no avail.
Dumb scrap. Got no weapon, huh?
Megatron stares his opponent down and says,
Can always become one.
As he transforms into vehicle mode and runs down the wounded contestant, he begins grinding his wheels into the warrior's chest and the crowd goes wild. As he kneels down to his opponent's level to deliver the final blow, he suddenly pauses and stands back up.
It's not finished,
said the ring announcer Clinch.
So finish it.
He tosses Megatron an Energon-infused hammer.
Finish him.
For the satisfaction of the ringmaster and the audience, he executes his opponent, as the crowd cheers at the death, chanting,
Till all are one. Now you know what it takes to be a champion,
says Clinch. Megatron removes his helmet, exposing his long metal panels. The crowd cheers even louder. Meanwhile, Senator Ratbat dismisses concerns of his assistant to attend to more important matters. In privacy, he manipulates world events for personal gain, but a report on the underground combat circuit piques his interest. He sends his servant to handle it. Battle after battle, Megatron's star continued to rise through the ranks of the illegal gladiatorial blood sport, and he eventually finds himself fighting alongside Clinch.
Circle formation. I said circle formation,
yelled Clinch as he struggled to devise a plan to get him and his team out of the back corner.
Beta Bear, get over here, damn it!
Beta Bear's toast. What do we do now?
asked Frenzy.
Surround it. Don't know. I just don't. Ugh!
Before he knew it, Clinch found himself stabbed by the enemy in front of him. But it wasn't because he let his guard down from his opponent. It was because he didn't expect to be used as a personal shield by one of his allies.
Go ahead, Clinch. Take one for the team,
said Megatron as he continued shoving his now former master into the enemy.
Congratulations, Worm. You've spared the mighty Clinch. Now, mind if I help myself?
He snatched the spear from Clinch's chest and took his arm while doing such.
That's okay, Clinch. Take a rest. I think I can take things from here.
The team was shocked.
Whoa, did you see that?
Now, circle formation!
Meanwhile, Prowl shows footage of this recent battle to his team, who are eager to put a stop to the unlawful violence. Sentinel Prime arrives and announces that there have already been several efforts in a plan to catch the rogue gladiators.
Attention! Prime on deck,
yells Prowl.
Sentinel Prime, sir.
Be seated. You all know how I work, and you know how serious it is that I'm here,
says Sentinel.
I don't play games. This is how it's going to go down. I will have 8 tactical recon teams on permanent postings at probable future arena venues. There will be a core strike team codenamed Hammer that will respond when the net is triggered.
Sentinel Prime turns his attention to the monitor and says,
They're evasive, but they're far from invisible. We wait for them to make a move in Imasi, and when they trip our net, we go in hot and we take them down. We have video across the city, bulk real-time data processing thanks to the teleclusters. Individual teams will redisperse as designated. Call sign is Panorama. We will crack down on this cult, and that one will hang,
he says as he stares at Megatron. Bumper and Fastback stake out a location suspected to be the grounds for the next session of murders. They witness the arrival of the Constructicons who begin to assemble the Knight's arena, which includes tossing a body to drown in hot metal. Megatron arrives on the scene shortly after, where he was given an offer by a rather peculiar salesman.
Either Constructicons are behind or my information is wrong.
Your destination, Megatron,
says a weird voice. Megatron looks around and says,
It is.
Then I have a proposal for you. Technology, weaponry, the means to modify yourself to incorporate those technologies, and the information to apply those tools.
Enough! Show yourself!
The mystery voice emerges from the shadows. He transforms from his alt mode and says,
As you wish. My destination, Soundwave. Before inquiry is made, arena location revealed in advance in direct relation to financial offering.
Megatron shakes his head in disappointment and says,
Bribes? I see the arena is bought and kept secret shortly before the games begin. And what price do you ask for these mighty gifts?
Only that you use them as you see fit.
Unbeknownst to Megatron, Soundwave was personally sent by Senator Ratback to offer Megatron funding and technology, seeking to foster political instability for his own profit. Soundwave was a mysterious outlier, a transformer who possesses abilities that have no apparent connection to their alt mode. He had the power to read minds. While he became acquainted with Megatron and the rest of the team, Bumper, one of the Autobot spies, watches from his hideout.
Readings off the scale. Who the? No, what the heck is that guy?
Says Bumper.
Fastback? Scrap!
It was there that he realized that him and Fastback had been discovered by Soundwave.
Bail, we have to clear the site. This is Up Team Panorama 3, request and response team on hostile encounter.
He says as he snatches out his communicator cables.
Panorama 3 calling for urgent response team. Confirm. Fastback, bail out!
Fastback bursts through the door as he's shot with beams by Soundwave's surveillance drones, Laserbeak and Buzzsaw. Bumper looks in shock.
Fastback?
And out of nowhere, Rabbit jumps in from behind, clawing at him. The two spies were apprehended and brought back for interrogation.
Get him online.
Megatron ordered.
I want him to see this.
Bumper slowly comes back online, and he's forced to watch his partner get brutally pummeled. Megatron picks up Fastback and slams him like a useless Intel CPU. All the defenseless Autobot could do was beg for his life.
What? Wait!
But Megatron stomps his head in.
Fastback!
Bumper yells as he gazes at his fallen friend's unrecognizable corpse.
Purpose of terminating prisoner.
Megatron diverts his attention to Bumper and says,
Showing him what happens if he doesn't tell me what I want to know. Cram it in your vent, you psychopath!
Shouts Bumper. Megatron responds with a strong backhand, causing the spy to ricochet across the floor. He's about to follow up his epic punch with a ground and pound until Soundwave stops him and says,
Upon detection, the subject's communications were jammed. Analysis, we are not in immediate danger. Suggested course of action, deploy specialist.
Laserbeak pins Bumper down so Soundwave can read his mind.
Subject's mind indicates a broad net cast to snare arena fighters. They did not know you were coming here.
He clenches Bumper's head even tighter and says,
Subject's knowledge also indicates you are one of the foremost members of an arena fighter's most wanted list.
Soundwave releases the victim.
Conclusion, subject is neither immediate threat nor useful tool.
Then you're finished?
Affirmative.
Scrapper, this site is compromised. Leave everything. Then, Soundwave, tell your master that I think we can do business once I've met him.
He kneels down at Bumper and says,
He's mine. Now, what did you call me? A psychopath, was it?
And thrusts his fist right through Bumper's chest. He stands over the lifeless body and stares at his menacing reflection in the puddle of Energon fuel. Soundwave reports to the gladiatorial safe house in Kaon to speak with Megatron. Swindle comments to Soundwave to tread lightly as Megatron has just lost an arm. Soundwave enters and sees the Constructicons replacing Megatron's missing arm with one culled from a casualty of the fights. Megatron struggles to tilt his head up and says,
What do you want?
Your request for flight-capable combatants.
You have one?
Soundwave points behind him and says,
Negative. I present 3, Skywarp, Thundercracker, and Starscream.
Starscream is awed in the presence of the famous gladiator.
Meg...
He could barely even get his words out correctly. He kneels down and says,
Megatron! I pledge my undying allegiance!
Megatron begins sizing up the 3 words and asks,
You can fly?
Beyond 3 times the speed of sound, all of us. Can I just say that I am honored? We are honored by the opportunity to join you in this arena, to fight by your...
The arena? No, I have something much better in mind for you and yours. Don't look so disappointed. You will wear my badge, and you will kill for me. In this time of change, we must all be flexible.
Megatron asks as his newly acquired hand transforms into an Energon mace. He turns the Seekers over to Hook for modifications. Meanwhile, the Cybertron security force holds a funeral for Fastback and Bumper, with many mourners in attendance, and Sentinel Prime gives the eulogy. He turns to his fellow Autobots and says,
Words fall short of the mark. Losing one of our own is never easy. This is a great loss, but this is no tragedy.
He gets emotional, and his piercing blue optics begin to flicker as the saddened Autobots notice the genuine conviction in his voice.
Loss of life is only a tragedy if it's with purpose. Some say that we may not see this purpose immediately, but that it will present itself in time. To me, this tragedy offers an immediate, startling purpose. A crystal clarity. I am the only head of the security forces. I do not make policy. Together, we simply enforce law. The difference now is that these outlaws have our attention. The only question unanswered is, what do we do with it?
Sentinel Prime emphasizes that the death of his fallen comrade should serve as a call to action, and that to give them meaning, he will bring the outlaws to justice. Later on, a parade is held for the unveiling of a new statue of Senator Decimus alongside other famous Cybertronians.
What an honor it is to be recognized in this unique way,
said Senator Decimus.
What a distinction for the House of Decimus.
As soon as he finishes up his self-absorbed speech, the Seekers disrupt the festivities. They aggressively swoop over the crowd of civilians, knocking them down with the force of their thrusters. Skywarp and Thundercracker make short work of the Senator's security, allowing Starscream to swoop in and bask in the moment.
Not bad, eh, Senator? Punch a hole in the sky and the masses are transfixed, eyes wide, like a pack of startled primitives, including your security detail,
said Starscream as he shoves the Senator down.
Secondary objective, mark it.
But why?
Oh, Senator, if I told you, I'd have to kill you.
The Seekers successfully abduct Decimus. Meanwhile, Senator Ratbat watches footage of the series of daring and destructive attacks, and comments that things are getting out of control. Meanwhile, Megatron puts out a call for new recruits to join the Gladiator Games.
Don't make me take all the glory,
said Sunstreaker.
I watch the fights, but bro, I don't want you in there.
Some of the Predacons express scorn about the influx of amateurs, but quickly retract the claim as Grimlock and the Dinobots are seen passing by.
Eyes open,
Grimlock spouted out loudly.
Don't need buzzer to start fight. Crowd like this, we play dirty or play it dead.
Backstage, Rumble and Frenzy are protesting being placed under Soundwave's command. When Megatron crafted his plans for infiltration, the two twins underwent alterations so they could hide inside Soundwave's chest compartment, although neither of them were particularly enthusiastic about it.
But boss,
I've decided. There will be no debate. You've both been modified for a reason.
Rumble tries to persuade him.
But boss!
Ah!
Megatron slams his fist into a wall a few inches next to the little robot's head, and Frenzy says,
So, Soundwave it is.
Megatron turns to Starscream and says,
Almost late. On task?
The, task is complete. I just don't understand the why of it all,
replied Starscream.
Just remember we agreed. You could say we're sending a message.
Megatron continues delivering a speech to the participating gladiators via cam drones.
I want to ask each of you a question. Why are you here? You come from Tarn, Alpha Hex, Urea, and Callus. We gather in Kaon, and so we bring our misery together, and we fight.
He yells as he raises his saber into the air.
We are the forgotten, trying to forget. Forgotten until you with a blade in one hand, a throat in the other. Then you remember, you feel it. You are alive. We can wear badges, join teams, fight and kill. Then the badge comes off and you crawl home. Assembled here, I see strength, power, the most dangerous Cybertronians alive.
Megatron snatches the chain emblem from his neck.
So, what if the badge never came off? What if our new arena was the entire face of the planet? What if there was one badge for all of us? Instead of fighting each other, we attack those who put us here, and we take back what is ours.
The entire arena erupts in cheers. To further emphasize his point, Megatron has the Seekers bring out Senator Decimus.
Look at the fear, the self-interest, the loathing for us, the loathing for what they have created. Fear for what will happen,
says Megatron as he grabs the fin on Senator Decimus' helmet.
We are without fear, and we shall make our mark upon this world. Why don't you all get started making an impression? All teams, if they surrender, let them give up. The ones that want a fight, well, we aim to please.
Meanwhile, somewhere close by, the Autobots are planning a surprise attack. Red, blue, gold teams, consider this your go code, says Prowl. Move in! They quickly raid the arena, filling it with thick smoke. Sentinel Prime patches into his unit and says,
Prime to all units, activate optics, and knock them down.
One by one, they apprehend the rogue gladiators until the numbers are narrowed down to Megatron and his inner circle.
If we're not getting out of here, neither is your precious senator.
Megatron yells, but the Gladiator champion soon finds himself overwhelmed by the Autobot security forces.
Take him down!
I'll gut every last one of you!
Megatron and anyone the Autobots can catch are clapped in inhibitor claws and captured.
Sentinel Prime, sir. We have him.
Megatron is brought down to his knees and degraded as Sentinel walks up to him.
So, this is the mighty Megatron, the big bad himself? I don't see it.
Sentinel says as he leans forward and looks Megatron square in his optics.
Keep looking. I thought he'd be bigger. Process him.
Back at the headquarters, Sentinel Prime is frustrated by the information that Soundwave must be freed under Senate directive.
This one?
Sir, this arrived. Senate directive. Says here this one walks away.
Fine. He can walk, roll, or slide out on a trail of grease. I don't care.
Sentinel gets in Shockwave's emoteless face.
Beat it.
Back in the holding cell, Starscream offers to turn state's evidence, and Megatron quickly orders his death to try to stop him. But Starscream is escorted out of the cell. As he leaves, he says,
Take me to the Senate. I have something that guarantees their future and mine.
As he walks away, one of the inmates says to Megatron,
Boss, what did you tell him?
Everything.
replies Megatron as he drops his head. He had a bad feeling his treacherous secret general would spill the beans about his plans if it meant saving his own tailpipe. Back at the Kaon Council hearing, Starscream steps forward to testify.
Let the special hearing of Kaon Council be marked as a commencement. Prisoner Starscream, I am required to list your charges as follows. Assault, murder, armed robbery, destruction of state property, inciting civil disobedience, extortion, kidnapping, receiving and selling stolen goods, passing counterfeit funds, firing upon a state senator, and misrepresenting yourself as a state official.
Starscream smirks sarcastically and says,
Nobody's perfect.
Prisoner, you risk much coming to us. Why did the prisoner seek an early hearing?
I was eager to see how the other half lived. Nice place, by the way.
The council judge has heard enough.
This chair holds the prisoner in contempt. I suggest a movement to expel the prisoner and to return him to confinement.
Do your empty chairs also hold me in contempt? I have a message for you, for all of you, from all of those in your cells. Through your own interest, you created this. You brought us here. You didn't just make it possible, you made it happen. All we did was give it a badge.
Said Starscream.
Take him away.
As the security draws near, Starscream raises his arm-mounted launchers at the councilman and says,
I don't think so.
Security! Security!
I don't think that's going to help.
Starscream yells as he continues to blast the senators to smithereens. The blasts are heard all the way down in the holding cells.
What's that?
The guard asks. Megatron's eyes begin to deviously glow as he says,
Phase 2 for us. The end for you.
Starscream and Soundwave destroy the council, etching their symbol into the meeting room's view screen.
Destruction of the way starts with itself, eh, Senator?
Continue the plan, Starscream.
The next stage in Megatron's master plan is carried out by Starscream as he frees all the inmates, and the criminals with prior association with Megatron are recruited into his new army. Soundwave provides armaments, and Starscream introduces Megatron to a new arm-mounted fusion cannon.
Now, Megatron, I watched your fights and I always noticed you leading with your right. It got you into trouble on number 37 when the...
Megatron quickly cuts Starscream off and says,
Your point, Starscream?
Starscream points at the weapon and says,
With this, you can make that work for you.
Something to make sure that a fair fight is the other guy's problem.
replies Megatron as he picks up his newly acquired perk. He wastes no time testing it out as he uses it to make a personal exit out of the building.
Megatron, we await your command.
Fall on them as predators do prey. Show no mercy. Everything, all of this, burns.
Replies Megatron as he clenches his fist. In an area inhabited by Cybertron's high class, Snooty Recreations comes to an end when Skywarp and Thundercracker fire upon an airborne vessel, causing it to crash below, destroying an incredible amount on the way down. As chaos broke out across Kaon, Sentinel Prime held the line until he decided to take things to the next level.
Prime, this is out of control. We're not helping this way.
Yells Prowl as he avoids the rain of incoming blast.
Prime, sir, what do we do?
Sentinel Prime transforms into his alt mode and says,
I'm going to Apex. Hold the line.
Soundwave meets with his boss, Senator Ratback.
And where have you been? Ironically enough, you've been extremely hard to reach for the last few cycles.
Gladiator assignment. Intel commitment estimates inadequate.
Replied Soundwave. The senator admits that not only did he aid Megatron's cause by supplying him arms, he was also the one who arranged for Megatron to be removed from the mining operation where he was originally working. Now that Megatron's forces have destabilized the area, the senator is embezzling what he can before moving on to new pastures.
Instability is just a different word for opportunity,
Soundwave points his blaster at the senator and responds,
Confirmed.
and blasts him at point-blank range.
What are you doing?
Situation war. Resources limited. Optimal solution. Repurpose valuable resource.
Replies Soundwave as he rips out Ratpack's spark from his lifeless shell, sealing it inside a new frame of his cassette tape. Sentinel Prime and the other Autobots fight to retake Kaon from the rioting rebellion. However, the rebels are causing massive damage and have jammed the communications with Iacon. Running out of options, Sentinel Prime decides to bring out his incredible assortment of firepower, the Apex Armor, a battle suit which can provide the Autobot commander with weapon blast deflection in heated battles, a suit that the Council had forbid him to use. He marches forward and runs through a horde of Decepticons like a freight train and sets his targets on Megatron. Hound served as optic lead for Sentinel's heads-up scanners to target the former Gladiator champion.
Big Chief, this is Optic Scout. We have a new playmate for you,
Says Hound as he transmits and relays his sighting of Megatron directly to Sentinel's feed.
Awaiting upload, Optic.
Megatron fearlessly walks up to the fully loaded Prime and says,
Come out, Prime! Face me like a gladiator! I know you can hear me! Come out and fight!
and a colossal explosion blasts Megatron out of sight. Sentinel Prime radios to the other Autobots that he's created a route that can be used to fight against the enemy. He then tries to radio in for a visual read.
Broadcast optics to team lead. Fresh targets a priority. Optic lead, do you copy? I said fresh targets to priority.
But no one answers.
Optic lead. Hound.
As he continues to try to patch in, Megatron slowly creeps up behind him from the darkness, raising what looks to be a lifeless body. It was Hound. Megatron hurls him directly at Sentinel, shattering his Apex helmet. He discovers that Megatron still functions. The two begin to tussle in flames as Megatron starts to monologue.
I've heard it said that we only gain wisdom through suffering, and tonight I intend to make you very wise.
As he punches Sentinel in the chest, he follows it up with a fully charged blast from his arm-mounted cannon. But Sentinel quickly recovers, saying,
If you want to change things so much, Megatron, why don't you start with yourself?
Change? Oh, how I've changed. The journey I've been on. I see through wiser optics now. Wise enough to see that this is a twilight of yours and the dawn of mine.
He yells as he charges Sentinel Prime at full speed, but the massive Autobot stops the tackle with little effort and says,
Your ways, criminal? And when you cross the planet with your little gang of thugs, what will you do then?
He raises the former Gladiator above his head and slams him, but Megatron answers back with a kick, knocking him down. He stands over Prime's body, raises his fist forming a double axe handle and yells,
I will create desolation and call it peace.
Just as he's about to get his head smashed in, Sentinel palm strikes Megatron, causing him to fall off the edge of a cliff, but he manages to hang on for dear life. Sentinel hits Megatron back with his knees, and as Megatron is hardly holding on, Sentinel helps him up.
This insurrection, treachery.
As he prepares to arrest Megatron, Megatron strikes him in the vocal processors, and they both go sailing off the edge of the cliff. As they begin their descent, Megatron gets atop of Sentinel yelling,
That's right, Prime. We're everything you said and worse.
And before they land, he blasts Sentinel Prime with his arm cannon to break his fall. The two of them land in a huge crater.
I don't care why you fight to protect these people. This place, the old way, it must change, and I will make it change,
says Megatron as he stands up.
And whoever is in my path, my Prime must help them.
Sentinel Prime gasps as he struggles to get a word out of his wounded body.
Doesn't matter. Don't matter. Others shall come.
As his newly formed regime falls in, Megatron reaches down and delivers a fatal blow to Sentinel.
It'll matter when they see what I've done to you.
The other Autobots arrive, finding Sentinel Prime's body.
Come in, Prime.
It's no good, Prowl replies as he gazes upon his fallen superior's dead corpse.
Is he alive?
Negative on backup. Iacon. Ready to deploy as an evac team. That's it for Kaon. We're pulling out.
Megatron sits on his throne and discusses the victory with Soundwave.
Commander Megatron, they wear your badge. They fight for you. You wield an army. You hold a city. What next?
We are spoiled for choice but one. Cybertronian by birth, Decepticon by choice. You ask what next? I have a few ideas.
And so began the Great Cybertron War. And that, my friends, is where we'll have to wrap this episode up. I hope you guys enjoyed this full-length episode because there's plenty more where that came from. If you never heard about this origin before, then it pleases me to be the first to unveil it to you. We have years of material to work with. This 4-part special of Megatron was a pretty solid read, and I really enjoyed providing some of the voices for the characters. Even though they're made up of metal and fuel, IDW did an excellent job of fleshing them out story-wise. Now we just have to see where the next arc takes us. But what do you think about this episode? Do you think Megatron's actions were justified? Can you somewhat relate to him? Be sure to leave a comment down below expressing your feelings. As always, I'd appreciate it if you took the time to like or dislike the video. It doesn't have to be a thumbs up, it can be a thumbs down. Any feedback is good feedback and will only help me improve on future content. If you guys want to see more, then I implore you to share this video as much as possible throughout the various social media platforms. And if you're new to this channel and you just so happen to love Transformers, smash that subscribe and notification button to stay updated. And oh, don't forget, we still gotta talk about the Bayformers history/origins. The next episode will be Bumblebee. But anyways, this is RBG signing out on another video. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.
Subscribe and click the notification for more updates. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.
Independent. I got broads in Atlanta. She took the lean in the family. Credit cards and the scammers. Hitting the licks in the back.